Okay, welcome to the latest Democracy 4 developer video blog thing. I'm Cliff, I'm the programmer and designer of the game. And this is a kind of like post-release video, now we're out of early access, talking about the stuff that's about to go into the game, because I'm about to release a new update to it. It'll be the second, I think, sort of proper big update since we came out of early access, and we're only doing updates once a month at the moment, so there's a lot of stuff in each one. There's a lot to talk about that's gone in and that needs explaining. I picked, like, I think I'm in the second term and stupidly popular in a test game of mine to illustrate some stuff. There are 25 changes to the game in this update. Some are small, some are big, so I'm going to go through them. Basically, there's some UI changes and there's a lot of balance changes. And a lot of the balance changes are to make the game harder in the long run. So if you played the game a lot, you may notice, it depends on your play style, that the first term can be quite hard and then it gets a little bit too easy. Depending what country you pick, depending on the difficulty, depending what you're trying to do to that country, and all kinds of other stuff. I'm in, I think, my second term, might even be my third term now. I should be able to tell from this. Yeah, we're probably quite a way into the game. And so a lot of changes have been to kind of emphasize those problems that show up in the real world in a country, in a kind of like wealthy, stable, modern democracy. They still have problems, and it's to emphasize that. So some stuff has got more likely. So there's an event in the game that is school shootings. That is now more likely to be, that's influenced more by low values of mental health. Mental health is something that's relatively new in the game, influenced by various stuff. So it's now a bit more risky to let your mental health get too low. Another input on that actually is selective schooling. Selective schooling is where you take the bright students and put them in one class or one school, and the less bright students put them in another. At the extreme end, at the kind of, I guess kind of like socialist end, to some extent, it's like all students are treated equally. And then at the other extreme end, you kind of have the situation in South Korea where you have like schools for super gifted kids, and there's kind of like a focus on private tutors to kind of increase the grades that the very brightest get, and you have more of a kind of focus on really making the best academically performing kids do the best and forget about the rest, kind of thing. And conservatives tend to like that and liberals tend to not like that. It's also a bit of a socialist capitalist thing. But something that I introduced is this. This is what I call the Sky Castle effect. If you've seen the excellent South Korean drama Sky Castle, which is about really high pressure on kids at school to do extra well, 100% in every exam. And obviously that boosts education. You get some really, really brilliant kids, but you also kind of destroy their mental health because of the stress. And I think my own upbringing was more kind of, we had separate classes. I think it was about right. People kind of mix, but you don't massively drag everyone down to the level of like the kids who are struggling the most. It's a complicated issue. I don't really have a strong view on it. But anyway, it was another interesting input into mental health because I think that is a real thing. Anyway, so that's in. A bunch of different things were changed. I re-rated the difficulties of each map based on updated statistics. The driverless cars situation, if you get that, we haven't got that yet, that will increase obesity because people are more likely to get a driverless car. The implication is that when we get driverless cars, that they will be very cheap because most of the cost of a taxi is the driver. So if taxis cost almost nothing, then you just get a taxi everywhere and you walk less and you'll get fat. So that is that's gone in. technology and driverless cars now really increase unemployment. So this is one of those things that happens in the real world and hasn't until now been reflected enough in the game, in that technology is great and driverless cars are great and automation is great and everyone and the economy is boosted by these things, but they also put everyone out of a job, and that is a real problem, and that's more represented in the game now. And some stuff that was reducing unemployment was reducing it too much, like vertical farm subsidies, stuff like that. That's been tweaked. Here's something that's changed. So let's say I fire one of the ministers. Let's get rid of our public services minister. Ha! Right, so if we go to oh no, hang on, no, that isn't showing up here. Oh my god. It only shows, oh, of course it does, right. So if you select a minister where you don't have anyone, like public services, and you click on hire, we have a new thing here called suitability. Right, this has always been in the game, I haven't changed anything. All I've done is I've improved the way it is shown to the player. So you see over here, here's Stephen Walker, and it says desired jobs, tax, transport and foreign policy. For every potential job that Stephen Walker could have, he has a certain randomly generated when he was born interest in doing each of those things, which represents how effective he will be at those things for a given level of experience. So he really wants to be one of these three. But actually we only show you the top three, but he has an opinion on all of the others. So we can see here 13%. Stephen Walker really does not want to be public services minister and will do a bad job. And you can see here like Julie Torres will do a much better job, 38%. So it's not in the top three jobs that she wants, but you know, vaguely interested. And if you see here public services, Chelsea Jones really is one of their top picks anyway, so you would expect it to be higher. And this is now shown to you because the game knows we're recruiting a minister for public services, so it knows which of those stats to put here. And it always could have done it, it just never really occurred to me to do it. So that's in, and I think that is helpful because sometimes you're looking for someone and because of other criteria that you may have, maybe you're picking people based on loyalty, for example, or experience. It could be that none of the candidates you're considering have this job in their top three jobs. So at least now you get to compare relative to them. So no matter how good Abigail Ortiz looks on various other stats, experience and campaigning, and she's sympathetic to groups I want to impress and stuff like that, I should be looking here and going, absolutely no way should she have this job. I've got a cat who's going to jump on my desk. Why now? Why? What? Of all the times, like literally, you may see a tail go by. Anyway, so that's a new thing that's down. That's a new thing that's in the game. Anyway, right, let's hire someone anyway. Let's I'm gonna hire Julie Torres, whatever. Okay, so that's a new thing in the game. Down. Okay. Yeah, this is an interesting thing. Right, the UK. If you play the UK, it used to start with a policy which was citizenship for sale. Is this the UK? No, it's the US. And it now doesn't. And there you go. It's just citizenship for sale. And the UK now doesn't because we've changed. Our government has suddenly decided that we shouldn't give people citizenship just because they got millions of pounds. So we've updated that. We try to update whenever I hear about a policy change in the world that I think is in the game. I'll update it. Anyway, so that's in there. Blah blah blah. Yeah, if a minister quits or fires, it used to be catastrophic. So if we look here, you'll see the effectiveness of a minister is 37%. Yeah. And this affects these things. So I get 3% less payroll tax because they're doing a rubbish job at collecting it. And the effects are massively reduced. The time to implement any changes I might make here go up 12% because this minister is not very good. Now, when the minister quits and you get a new person in who's less experienced, their effectiveness could be even lower, and that used to result in this sudden cliff edge dip, right? Now what I do is the value of effectiveness is calculated over the previous 3 turns. So if you've got someone who's really effective and they quit, and then you get someone not quite as effective, you're kind of interpolating as going between the two, so you don't get that sudden drop, that sudden catastrophic drop in tax revenue because the tax minister got shuffled and replaced with someone else. You'll still get the dip, but it will be averaged over time, and that minister will be learning on the job, so their effectiveness will be going up. It won't be such a catastrophic change. So that's in there. A bunch of other stuff was tweaked, blah blah blah. Cryptocurrency adoption has stronger effects, some stronger negative effects. Fake news now feeds into violent crime. Something that we've done is increase the impact of technology on healthcare demand. So if we look at technology, where is technology? Where are you, tech? Tech. Oh, look, by the way, if you can't find stuff, not F1, what is it? Control F. Technology. Oh, it's down there. That's what I couldn't find it. So technology affects healthcare demand at more of a slope now. That could even maybe be a bit more slope. So the idea is, if you have high technology in a country, that's normally good, and obviously we all want that, right? But high technology also means you can do amazing stuff medically. So to take a crude example, say high technology leads to brain transplants. I mean, it doesn't, but like, let's just say we could suddenly, or what's more reasonable? Say high technology cures dementia. That'd be amazing. That'd be brilliant. So a cure for dementia sounds brilliant, but actually it would vastly increase healthcare demand because there's a lot of people who suffer from dementia. So suddenly your healthcare costs go through the roof because everyone's like, I need this new drug or this new treatment, or technology or hardware, whatever. And we've just made that more pronounced. So hopefully in later games where you really rack up the technology and think you've got some techno-utopia, you have got a techno-utopia, but also, oh my God, you need to make money available to look after retired people who all now expect a better level of mental health as they get older. Anyway, that's in the game. Something that people just said, why is this not here? And they're right, is the UI animation duration slider is here. Now you don't have to quit the game. So the speed at which this stuff appears, so everything that is like an animation that kind of fades in and stuff like that, you can speed it up or slow it down. That's actually the duration. So I think that should then be instant. Look, if you're so impatient that you can't wait for that cool fade in effect, you can adjust it there. It's in the main menu, the main options, but it's there as well now. Whatever. So that's in there. Right, I won't demonstrate this because it's a real pain for me to load up a game, does it? No, I will demonstrate it. I will demonstrate it in a minute. I'll show you 2 other things and then I'll show you this final thing. Okay. Right, something that's new everywhere that someone just suggested, and I thought, yeah, that's brilliant. Like, of course we should do that, right? Is these little icons, right? So, wages, productivity, minimum wage. When you look at this, you sort of think these are the things affecting this. But what are they? So wages and productivity, they're blue bubbles. And we know that they're simulation values. And these little icons with the sort of grey background, which you can't see in this case, they're policies. So these are 3 things I can change. These are 3 policies. These are simulation values that I can only change indirectly through other stuff. And the little red thing there is a negative. Oh, that's a bug. I've been looking to reproduce this bug. It absolutely drives me crazy that I couldn't reproduce that. I'm going to fix that one day. I'll find out what it is. See, it doesn't do it there. It's crazy. It's crazy. Why does it only do it if it's on the right hand side of a GDP thing? No, it doesn't. I mean, like, Anyway, so these icons are new, and I think they're helpful because they remind you what things are. Because you might be thinking, I don't remember the private healthcare policy. And it's like, no, you won't, because it's a blue thing. Anyway, they're in, and I think they're good. I've got... Oh, I fixed the crash bug, but it's really rare, and you almost certainly never got it. Okay, so there's 2 other things to talk about. And one of them I'm really excited about, and it's going to take forever, and you're going to go, that's just confusing, Cliff, I don't understand. Okay, so go here. So I've talked so much about the difference between voting intentions and average approval, and I'll give you a quick summary. Average approval is you ask everyone in the country to rank the government 0 to 100%, and you take the average, and that is a green line. So on average, people used to not like me, now they quite like me, now they really like me. The blue line is the percentage of people who will vote for me tomorrow, if there's an election tomorrow. These are totally different things, okay? Extreme example, if everyone in the country rates the government at 49% and there are 2 parties, average approval is 49%, voting intention is 0, because they all rank the other party at 51% and then vote for them. You flip that, if the average approval is 51% and everyone in the country shares the same opinion and it is 51%, then average approval is 51%, voting intention is 100%, because everyone will vote for you. They're not ecstatic about you, 51%. On balance, I think I'll vote for the government. But it doesn't matter, because opinion of the government is fluid. It is a floating point variable, as programmers say. Voting for the government is binary. You either do or you don't. Now, in a 3-party system, it's more complicated, and you may not vote at all. And then there's other influences. But that is why we have the blue line and the green line. The green line is kind of showing you where the blue line is going to head to some extent. All things being equal. But all things are not equal. Because, look, I've got a new thing you can turn on. Make it look more complicated. This is not showing you any new information. It is showing you a little bit more information, but not massively. This information is elsewhere. I will show you. So if we go here to the party screen, fanatically opposed. This is every voter we model, by the way. We model 2,000. These people are fanatically opposed. Opinion of the government, 0%. These people up here, fanatically supportive. Massive support for the government, 100%. Okay. Roughly in the middle is the threshold, not necessarily always at 50% for complicated reasons, at which point people start voting for us. That green person there is so excited they've joined the party. There they are. So it looks like we've got this many members. These are 2 people who actually then it's not massively down here, but they've joined the other party, right? And this here is the distribution. The distribution is really important. Okay, because all of these people could be fairly spread out like they are there, or they could be very clumpy, depending on society, depending on what we've done, how we have played, what we have chosen, the original makeup of the country and all the rest of it. All of these people individually move around, and that's modelled in the game. Another way to look at it, if you go to the everyone group and the happiness distribution, this is the same chart, but turned sideways. Fanatically opposed on the left, fanatically supportive on the right. This vague line in the middle here is, I think, always set at 50%, which it shouldn't be, really. And anyway, we want to move people over to the right. And you can see that they're kind of clumped mostly here, probably at about 75%. That's good, okay? If we upset everyone, say a really bad event happens, we get shown to be corrupt, or there's some big corruption scandal, or there's a terrorist attack and everyone's like, why didn't you prevent this? Something that everyone hates, then everyone will shuffle to the left a bit. So a lot of people here who are going to vote for me will cross that line and not vote for me. But actually most people are in this big clump over here on the right, so I'm okay. So what this says as a chart is, not only are you doing really well in terms of everyone supporting you, you actually, most of your support is safe. It's rock solid. You could do anything and they'll still vote for you because they really like you. Okay, so going back to this other chart, this is that, but for every single turn in the past. Okay. I know it's not simple, But if you want to play Flappy Bird, play Flappy Bird. This is democracy. We don't mess around. Like, if I want to simulate an entire country with thousands of AI voters, I'm going to do it. So, and you don't have, you can ignore this, you can turn this off. If you think that this is complicated, turn it off. Anyway, this is the distribution of all the voters. And this is a 4-dimensional graph. So the x-axis is time, the y-axis is approval. The size of each blob is how many people are in it, and the colour of each blob is what party they vote for. We're the Green Party opposed to the Red Party at the moment. And those are the colours that were picked at the start of the game. That's not, you know, if there were 3 parties, you'd see 3 colours. And you can see some of these blobs are divided on a kind of line. So people here, approval around about 50%. Most of them are going to vote for me, but some of them are going to vote for the other party. Okay? Something that is even more complicated, and I love this, is that you see that division line there has changed over time. Look, here it was down there, and there it's higher. Okay? This represents the change in political stance of the different parties. So back here, back in the bad old days, when approval was really low and I was playing badly, you'll notice some people who had fairly low approval of me, really, they were going to vote for me anyway, effectively. So why is that? This threshold changes over time because we model the change in the opposition party's stance with regard to yours. Okay, so if you're losing, if you're not doing particularly well, then the other party feels fine in becoming more extreme in the other direction. Okay, if you're doing really, really well and all the electorate seem to be with you, then the opposition party think, we're not going to win unless we appeal to Klivsky's votes. We need to kind of steal some of his policies, move towards him on policy positions. So they kind of like climb up towards you, which is kind of what's happening here. So they used to you know, get votes only at this level of approval, and now actually it's gone up, and there you can see there it's actually gone up above 50%. So I'm so popular now, and I'm getting so much of the vote now, that the opposition party has moved its position close enough to me that actually people who have a sort of 50% approval of things think, well, actually, you know, I could vote for the other party because there's not that much in it. But back here, this wasn't the case. You don't have to worry about this to play the game and win the game. But I model it because it's interesting. Because there is a concept in politics as to whether or not your support is soft or not. So you can have a lot of support, but it can be soft. So what that means is loads of people are above the line here. Let's pretend it's always 50%. They're above the line, but they're only just above the line. So like a voter here in this little blob here, or a voter in this little blob here, that's soft support. A minor terrorist attack, and they will drop slightly, and before you know it, they're voting for the opposition. These people up here, this is not soft. This is real strong, hardcore. I wear a hat with Vote Klivsky on all the time. I've got these people. Okay, it's going to take a lot of damage to the country for them to drop down all this way until they start voting red. And it's important because what this chart tells me is I'm doing really well. Okay, but what this chart tells me is actually I'm doing even better than I think, because a lot of my support is not just slightly over the line. A lot of my support is hardcore, and that's fine. Okay, and this is actually a fairly kind of like normal distribution of voters. In a real fake news extreme, imagine US politics, but much more so, there would be big blobs here, and hardly anyone in between. This is actually a kind of Overton window-esque spectrum of voting. You don't have to look at that, but I haven't changed anything about the game there. I haven't changed anything about the model. It's always model this, including the party thresholds changing. It's always been in the game, but I've never had a way that I was happy to show you that. And now, if you want, you can look at it. I think it's really cool. I'm sure loads of people will be really confused by it. You know, this is part game, part proper political modelling software, you know, I think why not have it in there? I think it's interesting, and I think even if you never turn it on but you listen to that description, then hopefully that explains politics a bit more. Anyway, I'll show you the last thing. I always panic the game's going to crash, but it's actually pretty solid. So I'm going to quit to the main menu and start a new game. Oh, these are loads of modded countries. Ignore them, don't get excited. France. Okay. Ta-da! People moan about this. They say, why am I saddled with a load of ministers at the start? There aren't ministers that I pick and they all hate me. So, yeah, apart from the very first time you play the game, because I don't want to confuse people the first time they play the game, apart from that, once you've played a game once, when you start a new game, you have an option to, for free, no political capital cost, pick all of your initial ministers. Multiple people have said that doesn't make any sense, why can't I do that? I think it makes the game slightly easier, and I think, you know, you should play without it. But it's up to you, obviously. Anyway, that's all the stuff that's gone in the game. This is a really long video, sorry about that. But some of this stuff is really complicated. You know, I'm not modelling a bunch of dwarves hitting a dragon with +1 swords. This is a horrendously complicated game. So, you know, I think we have to model everything. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff in here that shouldn't be in here because I've got some mods activated, so don't let that freak you out. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is all in version 1.49, which I'm going to set live tomorrow, and so everyone should get it. And I'll do another video when we've got another big update, which will probably be another month's time. This is Democracy 4. If you like it, and you buy it on Steam, please leave us a Steam review. You can obviously buy it other places. You can get it at GOG, the Humble Store, Steam, the Epic Store, direct from us using the Humble widget on our website. If you want to give us more money than you know, any of the others, buy it direct from our website using the Humble widget. You still get Steam key. It doesn't make any difference. Thank you, and please subscribe. Blah blah blah, and see you next time.